Hi everyone, Kevin here from Golf Guy Reviews, and in this video today I'm going to give you my full review of the Nike Air Max 270G golf shoes. Now these currently retail in the UK for £130 and $150 in the US. So that's quite a significant amount of money for a trainer style pair of golf shoes. So you're going to want to stick around and watch this video because I'm going to let you know exactly how they fit on feet as well as how they performed out on the golf course, and I'm going to tell you whether or not I think these are worth the £130. So I really hope you enjoy this video today. Hit that like button if you do, and let's jump straight in. Now for those of you who follow my channel and have watched my previous videos, you might have noticed that in my first look video of these shoes, I had a different colourway. I initially got them in the Bone and Hot Punch colourway, and in the UK that was the original colourway launch as well as a black version. However, then a couple of days later they launched this Dusty Cactus version as well. So actually, personally, I preferred this colourway, so I bought them instead and sent back the Hot Punch and Bone. Now at the moment in the UK, this colourway is pretty much sold out as well as the black version as well, so you can only get that Bone and Hot Punch one. There was also a white and blue colourway. I'm not sure whether it launched in the UK or whether it was only in the US, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some other colourways launching as well. And already, even within the first few weeks of launch, there's an Energy version as well, which is in, what was the name of the colour? Twilight, Marsh and Ember. Where are they getting these colour names from? They're just... Anyway, so yeah, you've got a few different colour options depending upon what you like. Just depends upon whether you can actually get your hands on them. Now before we go through how these fit and perform out on the golf course, let's just quickly run through some of the design details and the look of the shoe. Now Nike is saying these are a stitch for stitch reconstruction of the original 270 trainers, but then tailored to work out on the golf course. And I've got to say, looking at them, you could probably get away with saying these pretty much look like a normal pair of 270s, apart from obviously this pretty exaggerated sole pattern, which we'll come onto in a little bit, and as well as the feel of the upper, because this has got a textured overlay material on it to help with the waterproofness of the shoes, as well as helping them stop getting stained. But generally in regards to that silhouette, I'd say they've done a really good job, and you can easily wear this off of the course as well as on. Now, the first thing that really grabs your eye when it comes to the 270 is this ginormous air bubble at the back of the shoe, and that's where it gets its name from, because it's going 270 degrees around the back of the shoe. I personally haven't got out my compass and measured it, so I'm going to take Nike's word that that is 270 degrees around the back of the shoe. But it is a really significant air bubble. At the time of launching these trainers, this was the biggest air bubble that they'd ever put on a pair of trainers. And it does really help in regards to the comfort of the shoe, especially in this heel area. It is nice and squishy and soft at the back of the shoe. In regards to the look of that air bubble, then it's probably up to you. If you like the look of the 270 trainers, then you're going to like the look of these. It's actually grown on me, to be honest, and I have quite enjoyed wearing this out on the course, and I did get quite a few compliments actually, even from some of the older members of my golf course, as a bit of a surprise to me actually. So yeah, let me know down in the comments what do you think of the look of these shoes. A quick note on some of the styling details. So you can see here that you've got the Nike swoosh on the lateral as well as the medial side in these shoes. And you've got a little 1-2 there on the lateral side of the toe box. And you can see here you've got some 270 logos as well. So you've got one on the inside there. You've got, what's that say, Golf 270 on the lateral side of the heel. And you've got that unique Golf 270 logo on the tongue. You've also got Golf 270 on the heel pull. And then also, there was another thing I was going to point out. Oh yeah, you can kind of hopefully see that on the video there. You've actually got air in this kind of padded form on the heel there. You've also got these nice kind of accents and layers which just naturally come from the original design of the shoe. But also what I do quite like as well is that hopefully this kind of area around the toe box there is going to help a little bit in regards to protecting the upper when you swing out on the course. And you can see as well on the inside, the actual rubber part of the trainer and the grip comes up a little bit on the toe box area, again to help with that kind of protecting the midsole on the inside of the shoe. Another element as well with the shoe that I just wanted to point out is that you've got this external TPU heel counter here, and it's been made to kind of blend in with the shoe. I think Nike have done a really good job of that because it is quite seamless actually, but if you look really closely, they are very much two separate pieces of material there. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about with the upper as well is, as I mentioned initially, this is a mesh material underneath, but Nike have put an overlay on the top of it to help with the waterproofness of the shoes. And I did my full Golf Guy Reviews waterproof test. So I poured over these shoes 300 milliliters of water, not only on the upper, but also on the tongue area as well. And I'm pleased to say that they have passed the test with flying colours. Unlike a lot of golf shoes that I test, these let no water in whatsoever and my feet stayed completely dry. So that's really impressive for a pair of sneaker style golf shoes. One of the main reasons for that is actually because of this upper construction. It kind of looks like maybe you've got a tongue area here, but you can clearly see that there is no tongue with this shoe. This is a one-piece construction. And so that's got its positives and its negatives. In regards to the positives, you can see that, it didn't let any water in whatsoever because the laces are just attached to the outside of the shoe on these. They're not actually weaving their way into the shoe. And it also gives you quite an interesting fit. I'm not entirely sure whether to put that down as a positive or negative, because it's totally up to you how you like the feel of your shoes. What I would say in regards to the fit of the upper of this shoe is that it fits very, very close. So you can really feel quite a lot of, I wouldn't say pressure, that's the wrong word, but you can definitely feel the upper material, certainly for me, on the lateral side of the top part of the shoe here. And also means that it can be a little bit tricky to get on because you can't really pull the tongue out the way. It just kind of stays there. And it also means that you can't really adjust the fit of the shoe either. When you do the shoes up, you're just kind of bunching the material across the top of the shoe really. You're not really pulling the sides of the upper over your shoe there. So it's kind of up to you on that one in regards to the fit. I didn't mind it personally. I quite like a feeling of being quite close to the shoe, but definitely that's something to be aware of. Something else to highlight with the fit of the shoes as well, because it is this one-piece booty construction, they don't necessarily give the tightest fit around the front of the ankle here. So they've got a fair amount of support in them, not the most amount of support, but definitely more than the Infinity Tour give, where it's a Flyknit. So you've got a little bit of structure on the front of the shoe here, but you do kind of have these gaps down the sides there. So, they're not necessarily the closest fitting shoe up the top, but they do feel really close at the front, but they're not the closest at the back. So it's kind of a bit of a mismatch in regards to how these fit and feel on feet. Now with this upper, because it has got that overlay material on it, although the mesh material is nice and flexible, it wasn't the most breathable, I've got to admit. I wore these on one of the hottest days of the year so far, and my feet were pretty baked in there. So again, if you're looking for the most breathable pair of golf shoes, these probably aren't going to be them. Let's move on and talk about how they performed out on the golf course and how they fit my feet walking the full 18 holes. And I played a few rounds in these shoes, and the first thing that I've got to say is that they have quite a bit of a strange fit, because although I mentioned earlier that the upper feels quite close to your foot in these shoes, they don't necessarily lock down all that well. Even over the driving range when I used them, I did notice there's quite a bit of movement, I suppose, in the sides of these shoes for some reason. I definitely found that my foot was moving about a little bit, kind of in this toe box and the top of the kind of, I suppose, the edges of the ball on my foot there. And in the heel, there's quite a lot of heel slip in these shoes. So although it looks like there's a fairly decent amount of padding in these shoes, it doesn't feel that it's doing a particularly good job of really locking down my heel and keeping it in place. When I originally got these shoes, I got them in a 9, which is true to size for me, but I also got them in a 9.5 as well, because I knew from the trainers that they were going to have this kind of tighter fit. But the 9.5 really slipped too much. I couldn't wear them at all, that was far too big. So I stuck with the 9, which fits me lengthwise in the shoe, but there's still quite a bit of movement and slippage in the heel area. So just something to be aware of if you want that really kind of locked down foot and making sure that your foot is not going to move whatsoever in these shoes. These aren't really performing to that kind of ability. There's definitely a little bit of movement in these shoes. Out on the course, I've got to say that these did feel really, really comfortable. That heel area there with a massive air bubble is nice and comfortable and nice and soft out on the course. But actually, I was really surprised with the midsole foam. So you can see here that you've only got it kind of half the way along the shoe, both on the lateral and the medial sides. It goes half the way along. And Nike aren't saying that this is anything special in particular. I know on their trainer versions, they use a React foam for these shoes. Not for the originals, I've got to be said, but for the newer versions, they've got a React version. This is just a normal foam. Nike have not said what type it is, but it was really quite soft underfoot. I was really impressed with it. So walking the course over 18 holes, very, very comfortable shoes indeed. I was really, really impressed and I really enjoyed wearing them. With this huge air bubble at the rear, I was kind of concerned that I was going to feel that I was kind of walking on high heels a little bit. Wouldn't be the first time I've done that, but that's for another video. And so I was paying close attention to how that felt out on the course during my golf swing. And I've got to say, they did feel maybe a little bit higher at the hill, but not massively to the point that I was really concerned or the point they affected my golf swing. So it didn't really kind of play on my mind. Wasn't a huge concern to me really, so I don't think anyone should really worry about how high these shoes are at the heel. Next up, I wanted to talk about the grip of these shoes, and Nike are using an updated version of their integrated traction. So on some of their trainer style golf shoes, they've used the same grip on the bottom regardless of the shoe. But with these ones, this is a new style grip that's had to be changed to accommodate this massive air bubble at the rear. So in the middle here, you can see that Nike are using these pimpled sections, but then on the outside of the shoe, you've got these edged rows going along. And I've got to say that actually I was quite impressed with the performance of these shoes. I used them on really quite a dry day, I've used them on the range, and I've used them on a normal day with a bit of dew on the ground. And I've got to say that they held up really well everywhere I used them so far. I wouldn't necessarily use these on the wettest of wet days, but that's probably my personal preference. I will always choose spikes over a spikeless shoe if it's really wet and muddy or really damp out on the course. But for the majority of times, these performed really, really well for me. I didn't slip once in these shoes. And I've got to say as well that what really did impress me is the way that it gripped in the rotation of my shoe out on the course during my golf swing. So I think that's down to the fact that these are quite pointy in regards to the edges of the traction pattern here on the shoe, which really allows you to kind of grip and dig into the turf. So for a spikeless shoe, I was actually quite impressed with these, and I don't think you should really have any major issues when out on the golf course with these. Now, I did just want to highlight a couple other points that I noticed about these shoes. And the first one was in regards to how you keep them clean, because the upper did do quite a good job when I actually cleaned them of wiping down pretty easy. So although this upper it's not white, it's not quite cream, it's somewhere in between the two, but it's a very light upper. And actually you can see here that they did wipe down pretty clean and easy. They did pick up quite a lot of dirt though, when just wearing them on a bone dry course. The dust and the dirt really did just kind of stick to these shoes like a magnet, and especially with this air bubble here, that did look quite dirty pretty quickly, given that it is just clear and see-through, so something just to be aware of. And also you can see here actually, and this is a little bit gross, but I'm going to show you anyway, that there is quite a bit of dirt and grime on this tongue area, and that didn't really want to come off when I gave it a quick wipe over, so I'm going to have to give that a bit more of a deep clean. So again, just something to be aware of. That's just using these shoes for a couple of rounds, as well as over on the driving range a couple of times as well. And the dirt and grime is just starting to kind of creep on the top of the shoe there, so something to be aware of with this colorway. So in conclusion with these shoes, I would say that Nike have done a really good job of reconstructing the 270 and making them specific for golf. There are some things that are a little bit, unique to these shoes in the way that they fit. They do feel very close to your foot here on the upper. They don't necessarily run small. I don't think you need to buy bigger in these shoes, but it's just the design of the upper. But they do then feel a little bit loose in the heel area as well. So it's a little bit strange that they feel tight at the front, but a little bit loose at the rear. So are these shoes worth the £130? Well, it kind of depends, I think, how much you really like the Air Max 270. They're not necessarily the best golf shoes out on the market. So if you really like the silhouette of the 270, I would say that these are going to perform pretty much well enough for most people out there. And so you're going to have a pair of golf shoes that you really like the look of, that you're going to be able to use out on the course, and that are totally waterproof as well, which is always a really, really big benefit. Are these the best golf shoes out there at the moment? Possibly not, I don't think so. In that 130 price range, I'd probably recommend some other shoes that maybe fit a little bit better and give me a better lockdown fit in the heel. But if you really like the look of them, which I quite do, they're growing on me, and I do like the fact that I can easily wear these off of the course and then wear them out to golf as well. So that is a real big benefit of these shoes. then they're definitely worth considering. So I really hope you enjoyed this video today. So hit that like button if you did, and make sure you go subscribe to my channel so you can keep up to date on all my latest reviews of golf shoes, clothing and tech. And if you're really interested in Nike Air Max golf shoes, then I've got tons of reviews on my channel of the Air Max 1G and the 97G as well as the Air Jordan 5 Lows, so go check those videos out.